Welcome, everybody, to the American Space Museum. I'm Mark Marquette, and we're so glad you're with us on an exciting day in space. Several things going on as we come to you live at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time here on January 18th, 2024, including this Crew Axiom 3 is boarding on their spaceship that looks like this when they dock. Hopefully, I think it's tomorrow afternoon or maybe 2 days later, they're going to dock. Sorry, I didn't look that up. Maybe someone could tell me exactly when they are going to dock, because we've been busy today as we speak. There could be the Peregrine lunar lander crashing into the South Pacific as we speak. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second here. But we want to remind you that we're a nonprofit. We're proud that you're spending your time with us. Stay Curious has become a wonderful vehicle to reach out to everybody. And we want to let you know that you can donate to our wonderful museum by hitting the tab on our website, that the donate button's up there big and yellow, and it takes you to this page, and we can take any amount that you'd like to give us, $20, $200 here on PayPal. And, the money will go into our general operating fund with things that we need for Stay Curious here. We've told you from time to time things we need at Stay Curious, and we'll be telling you more things as we find out what we need to take our program to the next level with more professional equipment. But also our humble nonprofit needs your support, as Winston Scott here knows that. There's Winston on a show that we had last summer. And when you go to YouTube, the giving super thanks button isn't there live, but when you go back to look at the program or see it after we air at 4 o'clock, there will be a super thanks button on the bottom. Yep. Thank you, Winston, for pointing it out. And you can just push a button to go up to $500. That's what the little tape on the bottom is. Each little dot goes from 500 to 250 to 100 and so forth. You start at $20 there. And we're grateful for your contributions. We're particularly grateful for Steve Jokums at the Lake County Spaceport up there in the great state of Illinois, up by the Michigan Lake up there. Stephen has donated $500 to our museum based on the profits of sales of his business that deals with models and decaling models. So we will talk more to Stephen and have him on the show one day and promote his business for his generous offer to our Stay Curious cause here as we reach out to everybody, like all nonprofits. It's just not fundraising times, but always we got to remind you that it's your contributions that keep a nonprofit open, and they are tax-deductible gifts. So thank you, Steve. He's always commenting. Marty Winkle, I get to say hi to you by showing off this beautiful LEM model. That's a good-looking one, isn't it, Marty?
Yeah, sure is.
You can see the different, the three different surface materials there you talked about.
There's a lot of detail. I see the landing leg probes, rendezvous radars pointing towards the command module.
Look at that door's got the Kapton foil, and then the Mylar's the real gold, and the Inconel is the dark, like you see on the reaction control thruster thing there. So beautiful model there. Marty, look how detailed the rivets, for better word, are around the windows and stuff. That's fabulous looking. Not sure what scale it is, but Steve will tell us here one day. So we love bragging about everybody that donates to our museum, and those of you that we are so grateful for. And like Marty speaking on the UCAC family microphone there, that Vicki, Tom, and Mark have donated to us. We want to remind everybody that January 28th, the city of Titusville and the American Space Museum team up to honor our 17 fallen heroes of Apollo 1, Columbia, and Challenger accidents. Our keynote speaker this year will be astronaut Mike McCulley, who is also the beloved president of United Space Alliance, the organization that put all of the contractors together on the pad, basically, in there. So we'll be talking more about that next week. Starts at 1 o'clock. out of Sandpoint Park. That's not our Spaceview Park. This is the park at the foot of the big bridge in downtown Titusville. Well, like I've said earlier, the Peregrine Mission 1 might be burning up as we speak, as we got the report from Marty. Would you hand me my printout over there? I printed that out and didn't get it. On the printer. It's in the printer there. Astrobiotic is the company that built this private moon lander, and they said that the private moon lander's long journeys come to an end. It will likely enter the Earth's atmosphere, said Astrobiotics Wednesday evening in their update, and slam into the Earth's atmosphere over the southern Pacific Ocean around 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2100 Greenwich Mean Time. According to its builder, the Pittsburgh-based company Astrobiotics. Quote, Astrobiotic has positioned the Peregrine spacecraft for a safe, controlled re-entry to the Earth above a remote area of South Pacific. And that remote area is at longitude 173 and latitude of minus 23. And that puts it around the Fiji Tonga Islands. There's several islands around this projected splashdown pass. So, Marty, that's probably night sky over that now, all right? Because it's morning brekkie for Cliff Watson, who's a little way farther east in Australia. Of course, Peregrine was launched January 8th in the first ever Vulcan rocket, and it had 20 payloads that were operating. The ride shares operated fine as it went out to the distance of the moon. The moon wasn't even near it, of course, because the propulsion system failed. They had an anomaly in the line, a valve stuck, blew up one of the lines apparently, and they did bring back a couple pictures. This is the landing wheels of one of the mini rovers that Carnegie Mellon had on board. So it is perishing in the Pacific Ocean, probably as we speak, says Astrobiotics, with the cremated remains of more than 50 humans on board, too, by the way. So, Marty, you got a comment?
Here, we have a question from Tom Celentano. Are we going to live video of the Axiom launch?
No, we're not, Tom. We used to do that. I thought about that today. We got away from that, but maybe one day we'll get back to that. I've tried to stream it off my phone, but it's a weak signal there. But maybe I'll try that today to shoot it out live if we get out of here on time. And got a very concise program today. We've got 6 astronaut birthdays, and I goofed up and we didn't talk about 2 of them, but they were earlier in the week. But we've had guests, and we don't want to put too much into the beginning of the program when we have guests and take away from their great talks. And the guest this week, Gary Allgaier, talking about the Apollo 6 successful failure of the Saturn V rocket. And then yesterday we had the one and only Terry White in here and talking. We had question and answer session with Terry White, and we're going to do that with Mike Leinbach next Friday. He's agreed to be on the show the 26th, and Mike Leinbach, shuttle launch director, said he'll do a Q&A, and we're going to do the same thing with Nick Thomas when he appears in February on his monthly.
Mark, we also had Dr. Proctor in this week.
Yes, we had Dr. Cyan Proctor in this week with ESA Eurocom Alex Carl. So what a great attraction we've had of Stay Curious, and people know about it. Several of the people in the posse that Cyan brought in here, like Mike Mongo, a very well-known educator, said he'd heard about us but hadn't had a chance to watch us. So as long as you're talking about us, you're leaving everybody else alone, and we appreciate everybody spreading the word. We're making a little money on YouTube. We could certainly make a whole lot more if you get your friends to jump on board. Well, a quick little ditty here about the fact that here's a photograph taken from the Philippines by a vacationing couple, Connor McDonald and Emily Orr, posted on spaceweather.com, one of my favorite photographs. This is a familiar sight to you on the east coast of America when those Starlink satellites were chugging up the east coast on a trajectory filling in that shell of satellites. Now they're all going south. But China launched a supply ship to their Tiangong space station on Wednesday. It's already docked with it, 16,000 pounds of cargo, and a fraction of it was fruit. All right, and they're trying to increase the quantity and weight of fresh fruits on this delivery, which astronauts just grab like crazy because that's the closest they get to Earth is some fresh fruit there sometimes. So thinking about the 3 Chinese tachionauts that are orbiting the Earth, we have 7 Americans on the International Space Station. Not 7 Americans, 3 Russians, 2 Americans, a Swede, and a Japanese astronaut on board there. So that makes 7 and 3 is 10, and we're going to launch up 4 more, so that'll be 14 orbiting the Earth here, hopefully in a few hours, as we're going to be pressed to get out of here for the 4:49 launch. Here is a official launch mission execution forecast from the Space Force, specifically the 45th Space Wing. You Google that, that's the best you get of the launch. The 24-hour delay there in the middle, 20% of a probability of not going. It's 80% launch right now. And if they're going, they're probably fueling it up. You could see that. But there's a picture Alex Carl, the ESA Eurocom, brought us here he took that a couple days ago. He's here to support Marcus Wendt, who's the ESA astronaut going up with 3 other Europeans, they're saying, though there's a Turkish astronaut and an Italian astronaut on board. And those will be 3 rookies. And that will make 611 human beings orbiting the Earth once they get up safely, as we hope. And making his 6th trip to space will be Michael Lopez Allegra there on the far right, ESA astronaut Marcus Wendt beside him, and then you've got the Turkish gentleman, 3rd from the left, 3rd from the right, and then the European Italian astronaut on board. He's from the Italian Air Force, not part of the ESA group. Of course, they'll be all trained together. Godspeed, gentlemen. We hope you have a very safe trip to space, and we can't wait to run outside of our museum and watch you go off here just about 10 miles away from where we're sitting. We'll be looking across the Indian River just 3 blocks from where we're at. And that'll be the scene as a Crew Dragon docks. That's what it looks like. The crew, of course, is just in that white area there, docking with an adapter on the Destiny module, I believe. Well, we got a bunch of birthdays we want to take care of that we've neglected, but we've got one today on January 18th. Happy birthday to Jeffrey Nels Williams, born January 18th, 1958 in Superior, Wisconsin. Jeffrey is the record holder for an American male 534 days in space. Now, there's 21 other people ahead of him on that record list, and only one of them's other one's an American. The rest are Russian, and that's Peggy Whitson, who clocks in about 12 or 13 in the top 25. He's 21 at 774 days for Peggy Whitson. By the way, Jeff Williams was raised in Winter, Wisconsin. That's probably appropriate name this time of year. Born in Superior. We love bragging about the birthdays because you all from Superior, Wisconsin got something to brag about. So you might have other things too. I'm not making a comment on Superior, Wisconsin. Williams was on the Expedition 13 and 21 and 22. He was a commander on the space station, and we'd love to see him out at the Space Center one day, Marty. There he is in space with all of his patches that he'd flown up to that point there. Well, another astronaut, there he is, ranked number 20 there at the bottom. And all those cosmonauts above him, and there's Peggy Whitson at number 10. All right, on the Wikipedia list. Gennady Padaka has 848 days in space. All right, 2 3/4 years. There's Jeffrey. Well, we missed it over the weekend to pick up on one of the most popular of all the astronauts. Dr. Shannon Lucid was born in Shanghai, China on January 14th, 1943 to Baptist missionary parents. They settled in Bethany, Oklahoma, where she grew up. And she has 223 days in space. That stood for decade as the longest for a woman in space ever. There's her signature on Newsweek magazine. Those of you that remember what magazines were, the weekly digest of the news, Newsweek, and then Time magazine, of course, was the first and most popular of them there. And there she is in space, Shannon Lucid, 5 shuttle missions, all pioneering and stretching the science and skills that are now applied on the International Space Station. She lived 188 days of her 223 days in space on the Russian Mir space station with a bunch of cosmonauts. So love to talk to that lady, of course. Then we had these 3 astronauts born January 16th. 2 days ago, Mike Coates, Blaine Hammond, and Jerry Linenger. There you see Sacramento, California is Coates. He's 78 now. Once a pilot and twice a shuttle commander. Blaine Hammond, 72. He was born January 16th, 1952 in Savannah, Georgia, but he considers St. Louis, Missouri to be his hometown. And then Jerry Michael Linenger is 69, born in East Detroit on January 16, 1955, East Detroit, Michigan, of course. And he has 143 days in space, including 132 days on the Mir space station, following, I think Shannon was after him. I could be corrected. So happy birthday to you guys. The astronauts are doing great things. Like this guy, former chief of all the astronaut office, Daniel Charles Brandenstein, born yesterday, January 17th, 1943, in Watertown, Wisconsin. The Navy aviator is 81 years old. So he was a one-time shuttle pilot and then a commander, all right, up there. So just like Coates. And he ran the astronaut office from 1987 to 1992. And our speaker at the Astronaut Memorial, Mike McCulley, said after his first flight of STS-34, Brandenstein was the chief of the office, and he said, went to him and said, when am I going to fly again? And Brandenstein said, I got 6 other pilots of your class to shuffle through, and no, you're not going to be a commander, but we'll fly you in 4 or 5 maybe years. And bye-bye. That's what Mike McCulley says. I want to apply my skills, and management is what he did. So there's Brandenstein. I sense he'll be out astronaut gathering one day up there. So one other shout out to astronauts. This is the group 13 in 1990 was announced to the world. 13 astronauts. So they took the name from a black cat as a mascot to play against the traditional unlucky connotations of the number 13, and they called themselves the Hairballs. Okay. 23 flights total, okay, among this group here. They flew on 91, I take it back, of the 135 shuttle flights. 67% came from this group right here. That's interesting. 6 commanders, all right. 6 of these humans flew 5 flights. 11 had 4 missions. Marty Eileen Collins is in there. Bill Gregory, Charlie Precourt, Terry Wilcutt is in this class, a great guy. And of course, Don Thomas is in this class. And so is, I thought, Tom, that we're going to see talk tomorrow is in this. Tom Jones. I thought he was in the Hairballs. Maybe I cut off I must have cut off the list of him.
Yeah, is that Fred Gregory or was it Bill Gregory?
Bill Gregory.
Okay.
The Air Force Bill Gregory, yeah. Fred Gregory's Marine in there. Anyway, we love our astronauts. All these people here were not part of either the Columbia Challenger accident, and there they are. They're Uber, the T-38 behind them there. So tremendous group, the Hairballs. 10 shuttles in the month of January, all right? We celebrate all 5 orbiters were launched, including Challenger. on that fateful launch. They spent 78 days in space on 9 successful missions. 56 people orbited Earth during the month of January, as far as NASA astronauts, 3 of them twice. 2 Mir exchanges, 3 astronauts orbited twice in January. 2 Nelsons, which were, of course, Bill and Pinky on the same mission. 51C up there in the middle top, that also had 2 future NASA administrators on there, pilot Charlie Bolden and space participant, he calls himself, the NASA administrator Bill Nelson. Bill Anderson flew on STS-89 in January. He lost his life on Columbia. And L. Onizuka flew on 51C on the first Department of Defense mission in the month of January, and he lost his life in, of course, the Challenger accident. Wanted to give you the artwork of this beautiful patch, one of my favorites. It would be my favorite had it been a completely successful mission, because it's the only patch that's the outline of the shuttle. I just like the blue and the gold on it. The central element of the patch is the microgravity symbol, UG, which flowing into rays of the astronaut symbol. The sunrise is representative of the numerous experiments that are the dawn of a new era in 2003 for the continued microgravity research on ISS and beyond. The breadth of science conducted on this mission has had widespread benefit to mankind and really set the bar for a lot of experiments done on the International Space Station today, as they were in their space hab for the very 14-day mission, that ended, of course, in tragedy when the crew was lost during re-entry over East Texas on February 1st, 2003. Launched January 16th. We'll see some beautiful pictures of that from our friend Carleton Bailie here in a minute. The constellation Columbia, the dove, symbolizes peace on Earth in the Space Shuttle Columbia. The 7 stars also represent the mission crew members and honors the original Mercury astronauts who paved the way to make research in space possible. The Israeli flag is adjacent to the name of Ilan Ramon, the first person from Israel to fly on the space shuttle. And so board there is we'll give you the crew names here in a second. Ironically, if you're not superstitious, it was the 113th shuttle launch in the overall program, though STS-107 was its sequence number as it was processed in the flow. There are the astronauts. These are all photographs by our good friend Carleton Bailie, whose sister was born on January 16th, and rest in peace, your sister there, Carleton. But he has quite a story we'll have him tell one time about his sister wanting to see this launch, and I think she's seen some other ones. But Carleton, this is some of your best work, my friend, that we're going to see here in a minute. There's Rick Husband, his second flight as commander. Willie McCool is the pilot. Michael Anderson is in the center there. He's the African-American. Kapaltna Chawla there is waving on the left side. David Brown is in the far right behind Laurel Clark. All right, you see Laurel. And then Ilan Ramon is behind Kalpana Chawla there on the far left. So just an excellent walkout photograph there. I'm looking in the background to see a couple of the astronauts behind there. Can't think of who's got the mustache, but great walkout shot there. Carleton in the pool of photographers, as this was a 10:39 a.m. launch, so this was probably around sunrise. And there is the beautiful launch. Carleton told me he had 6 remote cameras out there, and as well as shooting a camera in his hands. And he said all of them fired off beautifully, and he had a lot of photographs to choose from, and this is a real beautiful one, Carleton. The ascent from one of his remotes there, can't say shuttle launch any better than that, my friends. And there's a beautiful remote shot looking up the tail end of it there from the ET side. Okay, and then a few seconds after this shot, that big cloud engulfs that camera. Another beautiful shot, climbing high. Beautiful morning. Again, look at the beautiful three solid space shuttle main engines, the blue tip flames coming out of them. That my co-producer Marty Winkle was the launch process person manager on those computers on there. That's what you want to see, right, Marty? That blue flame there and the trail there. Of course, most of the power coming from those solid rocket boosters. And, of course, what happened was some foam fell off the external tank and hit the left wing and punched a hole in it. And it wasn't known how serious that was until they didn't make it home. What another gorgeous shot of that. Just all these are just calendar shots for sure. And I'm going backwards. That's why I keep looking at it there. And then out of the payload bay, once they got up there, the space hab, a small tunnel to go in there where they worked and did their jobs up there. And because it was 2003, a lot of the data, I understand over 80% of it was sent back to Earth. And so not much of the mission science was lost. And a lot of it pioneered some of the pharmaceutical things being done in the space station, as well as metallurgy and all of the disciplines up there. And there is the crew cutting up on a live shot off the TV with their commander, Rick Husband there. Just beautiful smiling faces that, God bless them. They never knew what hit them. And we certainly have talked on Stay Curious with our friends about the loss of their friends on this mission. And we will have a program with Gary Allgaier on January 25th, a Thursday, to talk specifically about the Columbia accident. And then Friday, the 26th, if my date's wrong, it is going to be Friday 26th is Friday, because 28th is Sunday, our memorial. And we're going to have Mike Leinbach on the show, and Mike launched over 30 space shuttles, including this one. And Carleton, to take us out for today, the beautiful trail of the solid rocket booster that Carleton's told me that he was kind of an afterthought to take this shot on the beautiful Florida January, and kind of an interesting way to honor them and think of the higher ground that they're on now. So we hope that you enjoyed this, Mr. Dave Stange up there, as we are out for you all to watch on TV. Don't know anyone giving us any alert there, Marty, that there's been a scrub at this moment. Doug Forrest, Mark Usiak, Tom Usiak. Don't know why you guys aren't here. I know, you need to, come on, get together and buy you a little winter home down here. I'll help you out with, give you $5 a month for utilities, okay? Bill Whiting, anxious to get down here, I'm sure. Fox McLeod, thank you for watching. Steve Jokums, who we are thankful for his contribution to our museum. Cynthia Rossi, a great lady out there, and she'll probably be seeing Cynthia tomorrow at Tom Jones luncheon we're going to, Marty.
I haven't heard. I don't know if she'll be there.
Tom Jones is having a luncheon thrown by the National Space Society, and the Astronaut Memorial Foundation will be there, and I'll bring some pictures back from that. Cliff Watson, thank you, brother, down there in Pomona, Australia. And Tom Celentano, thank you all for watching today. Marty, anything to button up on our Streamlabs production that you did so well on today?
Nope, we're good to go.
Well, it's 4:30, and we're out of here to go see 4 humans launched off of Earth. These Earthlings will be the 611th. We'll put the total up there with 3 rookies going up. So Godspeed to them, and hope their launch as well as their mission is nominal. Until then, I'm Mark Marquette saying we'll see you tomorrow with some astronomy news and update on all these space flyers, all to bridge the space between us. Stay curious.